जैसा आप सभी जानते हैं कि भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान के संस्थापक निदेशक श्री H.S. पंवार साहब का देहावसान शुक्रवार दिनांक 29 मई 2026 को गुरुग्राम में हो गया है। भारत सरकार द्वारा उन्हें पद्म भूषण पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया था। श्री पंवार साहब भारत में वन्यजीव संरक्षण के क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले एक महत्वपूर्ण व्यक्तित्व रहे हैं। उनके योगदान को स्मरण करते हुए हमारा कृतज्ञ भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान परिवार उन्हें श्रद्धांजलि देने के लिए एकत्र हुआ है। हम सभी ईश्वर से उनकी आत्मा को अपने श्री चरणों में स्थान देने की प्रार्थना करते हैं और यह भी प्रार्थना करते हैं कि ईश्वर उनके शोकाकुल परिजनों को इस अपार कष्ट को सहने की शक्ति प्रदान करें। उनके अमूल्य योगदान को स्मरण करने के लिए मैं भारतीय वन्यजीव परिवार के सेवारत एवं सेवानिवृत्त 2 सदस्यों को आमंत्रित करूंगा और अंत में 2 मिनट के लिए हम सभी मौन श्रद्धांजलि देने के पश्चात इस सभा को समाप्त करेंगे। तो सबसे पहले मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान में वन्यजीव विज्ञान संकाय की डीन डॉक्टर रुचि बडोला मैडम को। मैडम,
नमस्कार। भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान परिवार आज अत्यंत दुख के साथ हमारे संस्थान के संस्थापक निदेशक श्री H.S. पंवार के निधन पर गहरी शोक संवेदना व्यक्त करता है। श्री पंवार भारतीय वन्यजीव संरक्षण के क्षेत्र में एक दूरदर्शी नेता, समर्पित प्रशासक और प्रेरणादायी मार्गदर्शक थे। उन्होंने वन्यजीव संस्थान की स्थापना और विकास में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई तथा संस्थान को जैव विविधता विज्ञान, संरक्षण, शिक्षा, अनुसंधान और प्रबंधन के क्षेत्र में राष्ट्रीय एवं अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पहचान दिलाने की मजबूत नींव रखी। इस संस्थान के लिए उनका विजन था कि WII संरक्षण के लिए एक वैज्ञानिक, शोध आधारित, प्रशिक्षण एवं नीति समर्थन देने वाला समाजोपयोगी संस्थान हो। उनकी दूरदर्शिता एवं आधुनिक सोच का परिणाम स्वरूप उन्होंने कई डिसिप्लिन्स और इनिशिएटिव्स की स्थापना करी, जैसे कि EIA, इको डेवलपमेंट, देश का बायोजोग्राफिक क्लासिफिकेशन इत्यादि। वे प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर तथा देश के संरक्षित क्षेत्रों के वैज्ञानिक प्रबंधन में भी उल्लेखनीय योगदान देते थे। उनके नेतृत्व, विचारों और कार्यों ने वन्यजीव संरक्षण की कई पीढ़ियों को प्रेरित किया है। उन्होंने भारत सरकार द्वारा पर्यावरण एवं वन्यजीव संरक्षण में योगदान के लिए उन्हें पद्म भूषण से सम्मानित करा गया। उनका निधन वन्यजीव संरक्षण समुदाय और भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान के लिए एक अपूर्णीय क्षति है। संस्थान उनकी अमूल्य सेवाओं, दूरदर्शिता और विरासत को सदैव श्रद्धापूर्वक स्मरण करेगा। इस दुख की घड़ी में हम शोकाकुल परिवार, मित्रों, सहयोगियों और उनके सभी विद्यार्थियों के प्रति अपनी हार्दिक संवेदना व्यक्त करते हैं। ईश्वर दिवंगत आत्मा को शांति प्रदान करे।
अब मैं भारतीय वन्यजीव संस्थान के पूर्व निदेशक डॉक्टर V.V. माथुर सर को श्री पंवार सर के योगदान के बारे में बताने हेतु आमंत्रित करता हूँ। सर,
मना करो, शुरू में 1 0
members of the WIA family. Today I stand before you with a very heavy heart. For nearly 40 years, Shri Panwar was not merely a senior officer, a mentor, or a professional guide. He was one of the most influential individuals in my life. हर व्यक्ति के जीवन में कोई ना कोई व्यक्ति ऐसा होता है जो उसको हर तरह से मार्गदर्शन देता है और हर तरह से प्रेरणा का स्रोत बनता है, और उन्हीं शब्दों में मैं उनका बयां करना चाहता हूं। और हमको ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे बीच से एक महान पुरुष चले गए हैं और हमने एक मेंटर को खो दिया है, पर इस 40 साल के प्रोफेशनल जर्नी में जितना उनका इन्फ्लुएंस इस हॉल में बैठे हुए लोग और इस हॉल के बाहर जितने लोग हैं उनके ऊपर किया, वो एक मिसाल के रूप में याद रहेगा। The passing away of Mr. Panwar on 29th May marks the end of an extraordinary chapter, I would say, in the history of wildlife conservation in India. Of course, we have assembled here to show our grief in his departure, but we also need to celebrate his life of uncommon purpose, of courage, of vision, and of service. This is something which need to learn from his life. The world, of course, knows Panwar Sahab as a Padma Bhushan awardee, the architect of modern protected area management in the country, and the man who rescued the hard ground Barasingha from the brink of extinction, and who headed the director Project Tiger, and also, as we know here, the founder director of this institute. But today what I want to do is to speak about this man behind these achievements, what this personality was and how he was able to shape the destiny of this institute and many others who touched their lives. I first came under his leadership way back in the mid-1980s. Many of my colleagues, Dr. Mathur, Dr. Rawat, Dr. Asha are here, when he selected amongst them as a young member from the Indian Forest Service at the Wildlife Institute of India. And as I look back to those days in 1986, I wonder what he really saw in me then. I was very young. I was learning my craft. I was trying to understand my role in conservation. But what is important is that he placed trust in me. And that trust became one of the turning points in my professional career, all in WII for 39 years. At that time, many of you know, Institute was in its formative years. And Shri Panwar was building WII literally brick by brick. I recall my first task which he told me in 86 कि माधव साहब आप जाके पूरे इस कैंपस की बाउंड्री का निरीक्षण कीजिए, because there were huge problems with that boundary. Mukherjee साहब will realize and recall, and I was wondering that I had come here for something else and what I am going to do is something different. What impressed me most was not simply his vision, but his ability to convert vision into a reality. And that is what has happened, and everybody knows in the last 40 years, he expected excellence. Everybody who came in touch with him very soon realized that he meant business, he wanted excellence. He also demanded integrity, and he encouraged independent thinking. And most importantly, he inspired confidence in young professionals. Like me, many of my colleagues who joined in 86 were very, very young. He never made us feel junior. He made us feel responsible. And many of us discovered our own confidence because he believed in us. His conservation achievements, everybody knows, are now part of India's conservation history. Through scientific management, habitat restoration, village relocation. We came across the term village relocation when we started interacting with him. And above all, his visionary leadership, he reversed what was considered as an inevitable decline or even extinction of the hard-ground Barasingha in Kana. And today, more than 1,000 Barasingha thrive in Kana and additional populations exist elsewhere. And I will go to the extent to say that every Barasingha grazing in Kana today is a living tribute to his vision. Had he not intervened, had he not guided, had he not changed the course of management, this species would certainly gone extinct. And we all know his role as the director of Project Tiger. He strengthened and expanded India's tiger conservation program, which was at a very critical stage. And I have no hesitation in saying that the Project Tiger, the status and success of Project Tiger today rests significantly on the foundations which were laid by Mr. Panwar. But if you were to ask me his greatest contribution, I would say it is institutional building. This institute where we are all here today, the Wildlife Institute of India, undoubtedly remains one of the most enduring monuments of his vision. Mark my words, monuments of his vision. Thousands of wildlife managers, scientists, researchers, conservation practitioners across India and around the world have been influenced directly or indirectly by the institution he created. In many ways, all of us are here as a part of his extended conservation family. So it's not only WI family, it's, I would say, the WI conservation family. I was again very fortunate when he moved away from WII to Sri Lanka, and I had an opportunity to work with him. He was heading the UNDP JEF project on strengthening the capacity of protected area professionals in the entire Sri Lanka. Those years, I recall, allowed me to see another dimension of his personality. Despite his international stature and achievements, he remained remarkably humble, approachable, and generous with his time and wisdom. And I can understand that my colleagues and whoever has interacted from Bharadwaj sir to Ruchi Badola know that what I am saying is something very true, that his humility, the way anybody could approach him, whether it was a faculty member, dean, director, registrar, or Dhyan Singh, could approach him and say that this is what needs to be done or this is what is happening. Moving again, I would say, one of the two greatest moments in my life was to receive 2 of his international awards. He received 4 big awards in his life, and as luck would have it, he was not there to move or to receive those awards himself, and I happened to be there as a part of IUCN representative. I received them. Standing on those global platforms, representing him, I obviously felt immense pride. But I also realized that no award, however prestigious, could fully capture the magnitude of his contribution to conservation. Awards recognized what he achieved, but people remembered how he inspired them. There is one conversation I would like to share that has remained etched in my memory for several decades now. As I said, I was fascinated, indeed often mesmerized, by his extraordinary ability to pursue multiple challenging tasks simultaneously and yet deliver outcomes of the highest quality. Whether, as I said, it was saving the Barasingha or building the Wildlife Institute of India or building the capacity of the managers in Sri Lanka, he seemed to accomplish what many considered impossible. And so one day, I gathered the courage. I went up to him to ask, "Sir, what is the recipe of success?" Because my mind was working that how this person is able to succeed in whatever task it is, and how many it is. And he looked at me and replied with his characteristic simplicity. He said, "Vinod, set impossible targets and then pursue them relentlessly, and success will be yours." आप अपने जो उद्देश्य हैं, जो आपके गोल्स हैं, उनको हाईएस्ट लेवल पे आप नामित करो और फिर उसके बाद उनको अचीव करने के लिए दिन रात एक कर दो. And at that moment, I must say, it sounded like a simple piece of advice कि आप गए, उन्होंने ऐसा कहा, आपने सोचा. But now as I think back, over the years, I realized it was much more than that. It was indeed the philosophy by which he lived his life. This is the message I want to share with you. And when I look back, I realize that every major achievement of Panwar Saab's life is reflected in this philosophy. He consistently set goals that others thought were impossible and then pursued them with unwavering commitment until they became a reality. This learning from him, I have tried to follow in my own life, and whatever I feel I have achieved in my journey has a very strong bearing on Mr. Panwar's advice and action. So today, as I stand before you, I realize that Panwar Saab's greatest gift to his students was not merely knowledge or opportunity or guidance. It is the confidence to dream big. He encouraged each one of us, whoever came in contact, from a junior faculty to the senior most person, that we must think big. We must try to attempt the impossible and then pursue it till it became possible. Finally, I would say the forest that he helped protect will continue to flourish. The Barasinga he saved will continue to roam the meadows of Kana. The tiger reserves he strengthened will continue to inspire the world. And the institution, and I am talking of this very institution, will continue to nurture future generations. And the values he lived will continue to guide all of us. And that, perhaps, I feel, is the greatest legacy any teacher can leave behind. So, in the end, I would say, thank you, sir, for teaching us that conservation is ultimately about service. Service to nature, service to society, and service to future generations. And thank you again, sir, for demonstrating that humility and greatness can coexist in the same person. Here was a living example on who could have both humility and greatness. And thank you again for leaving behind a legacy that will continue to inspire generations of conservationists. On behalf of the countless students, colleagues, admirers across India and around the world, I offer my deepest gratitude on behalf of all of you. He may no longer be walking among us, but his vision will continue to guide us. His teachings will continue to inspire us. And his legacy will continue to live in this institution that he created, in every protected area that he visited and provided inputs, in every tiger reserve, in every wildlife professional, and every conservation success story that he made over there. May his noble soul rest in eternal peace. Om Shanti.
शोक की इस घड़ी में हम जानते हैं कि हमारे आमंत्रित जो अधिकारी कर्मचारीगण हैं, सेवानिवृत्त भी, सबके पास अनेकों ऐसी बातें होंगी साझा करने के लिए, लेकिन सभी संदेशों को शामिल कर पाना संभव नहीं होगा. अब मैं संस्थान की वैज्ञानिक से डॉक्टर चिन्मया घाणेकर जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं कि हमें विदेश से जो एक संदेश प्राप्त हुआ है वो सबके सामने पढ़कर सुनाएं इस मौके पर.
This is a condolence message from Miss Virginia Randall, UNDP expert, Fort Collins, Colorado, USA. Mr. Pawar will be sorely missed by conservationists around the world. I came to know Mr. Pawar in 1999 in my capacity as an evaluator of biodiversity projects in the UNDP programs. Mr. Pawar was at the time Chief Technical Advisor for a multi-million-dollar project supported by UNDP, FAO, and Global Environment Facility in Sri Lanka. Having been the Principal Technical Advisor on Biodiversity Conservation for UNDP's GEF program, and subsequently in my capacity as an evaluator, I had met many talented and dedicated Chief Technical Advisors over the years, but none of them were nearly as impressive as Mr. Pawar. His work in Sri Lanka through the Department of Wildlife Conservation was key in developing long-term management plans for all the country's most important protected areas and for the formulation of wild elephant conservation strategy. His guidance and direction led to the significant strengthening of wildlife management capacity in the country and to the enhancement of national wildlife research and training centers for Sri Lankan rangers. My own association with Mr. Pawar continued over the years as a fellow professional and in the conservation of field. Over the past decades, we have seen wild places and wildlife disappear and or become less wild at often alarming rates. The conservation challenge is immense, and many in the field either give up at some point or simply run out of the energy to continue fighting for those without the voice. Mr. Pawar never gave up, and he didn't give in. His was a good and strong voice for wildlife, a voice that will last on and which will echo in our ears as wildlife professionals for many years to come. Few have as much practical experience in the conservation field as Mr. Pawar, but fewer have the talent to impart to others the learning they have acquired painstakingly over the years, and the ability and willingness to do so with such generosity of spirit as Mr. Pawar had. He has given us a wonderful gift, inspiration to continually strive to ensure the wildlife and wild places have always a place on this small planet we share. Mr. Pawar will be remembered with great fondness as a mentor for conservationists in every corner of this round world. In the end, I would like to add that he would also be remembered for his wonderful sense of humor, which will stay with us through the many jokes he shared over the years. Condolences from Virginia Randall.
अब मैं सभा में उपस्थित आप सभी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि श्री पवार सर की आत्मा की शांति हेतु हम सब खड़े होकर 2 मिनट का मौन धारण कर उन्हें श्रद्धांजलि देंगे, और इसके पश्चात हम सभी सामने चित्र के सामने पुष्प रखे हैं, पुष्पांजलि देते हुए यहाँ से प्रस्थान करेंगे। इसी के साथ ये सभा विसर्जित भी हो जाएगी। तो ओम शांति। ओम शांति शांति शांति।